having them and maintaining that frequency until they arrive. So I didn't get upset when I was like wishing I had a show for all these years and I didn't have one. I just kept feeling like someday I'm open to that and I'm so excited. And if that opportunity ever comes, I'm going to say yes. And then I had little synchronistic things that led me to the very moment of it arriving and saying, Tanya, do you want this? And I said, yes, I do. And then I just showed up. And really, it's been pretty fun and magical ever since. So this is really the way synchronicity works. And it's very playful. And I feel that a lot of us have this feeling. I think I was talking about this last week. Like, we have this feeling that we have to really work hard for everything. We have to suffer to get there. And our culture celebrates that. We really celebrate this, it's got to be hard. It's got to be, strenuous and difficult, and then it's worth it. And really, that is a choice. We all can choose that path, but there's also another path available, and it's the path of ease. And it's the path where everything flows and synchronicities and serendipitous moments await you. And this is the path, I feel, of our true aligned destiny, is that when we are flowing and we are arriving and we're showing up for life, life is showing up for us and we show up as well. When life says, would you like this? And it feels amazing, we say yes. We don't say, oh no, I don't think I'm ready. I used to be that girl. I used to have things I wanted so much and they'd come and then I would say no and push them away, because some part of me felt unworthy. I wasn't quite good enough yet. Why would anyone listen to me talk? Why would anybody care about what I have to say? And I used to feel like that because I was still insecure and had a lot of stuff to clear. And so some of you watching, maybe you feel like that. There's a dream you have, but you're still kind of stuck in, why would I be worthy of that? Or I don't know if I could ever accomplish that. Like, I don't have all these degrees. Really be gentle with yourself and realize that that is not what you need. If the universe gives you a platform and brings you a gift, say yes to it. I love that. Thank you. Perfect timing, Amnon. And so it's going to be so much more rewarding in your life if you start to show up and really pay attention to the synchronistic moments. So, Amnon, let's see. If there's no questions, how about you? Do you have any kind of synchronistic moments that you can think of?
Yes, I do. But I was going to say...
I feel you wanted to say something.
I was going to say, this is why you were so sure. I mean, I was flattened by the way that when I asked Tanya about the show, and she said, yes. And it was like, what else? Of course, yes.
Of course I will. Are you kidding?
Mine were, I always like, I'm into getting and restoring and driving military vehicles, old. And you see something really, it was easy to buy a big truck, but then I saw a picture of a British ferret, which is like a small tank.
Okay.
And they were expensive. And I said, I wish one of these days I had one. And one of these days I will have one.
Yes.
And as it turned out, somebody local, actually, I didn't have to go far, had one. And they had two of them. And the wife said, you can keep one. And I got it for a really good deal. And here it is in my own garage. And I said, wow. I always wanted one of these things, and I always felt like I will have, and sure enough. And then I wanted a Jeep, and it's hard to find, and I did find one. So yes. It's sort of like you tell yourself that you are going to get something, and you keep on telling yourself, one of these days it'll happen. Just wait when the time is right, just like you're saying, and it does happen. And then you stop and you think, yeah, all these times I was thinking about it, and you at the time you see you are into this 24/7. I wasn't thinking about anything that is happening up above. I wanted one, I said, yep, I will get it. Then when it does happen, you say, so that's somebody was helping me to get this, because this was just too good to be true to happen this way.
So now you're like, thank you, angels.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it happens for all of us. And like I said, some that are really tuned in realize it's always happening and they're more paying attention with everything. And it's not like a strenuous paying attention, it's just paying attention. You're just very present. But then there's some that don't acknowledge it and they'll miss a lot of opportunities.
Right.
And it's really, I feel like synchronicity is it's fun and it's so playful. And everything that we really want and desire, we deserve it. And there's some part of us that has that desire, like you having that desire for that Jeep. It's in you, and it's because it's something that will mean something to you emotionally. And so you having that emotional frequency of, I'm going to have that someday, that is a powerful energy that you are sending out to the universe, and the universe is conspiring in your favor to bring it to you. And if you keep it in that vibration of someday it's coming to me, I just know it, that is an amazing place to stay and not put any pressure on yourself or the universe of a timing or of how it has to arrive, but just keep the frequency of, it's mine. I already know it. It's coming. And not really worry about how it comes. And it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of us, I would say the majority of us, don't realize that when we find our other half, that it is because something was directed that way from somewhere, and it just took time until I met Kathy, and it's sort of like right away. Okay, this is it, kind of.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how my beloved was brought in. So tell me if you'd like to share with us, like how you and Kathy were brought in. What do you mean by you could tell something brought you together?
It was just, I can't explain it, but I mean, I came to the States and I was in New York, and I came here to visit. And one of the times that I visited, I had a friend here, I met Kathy. And I mean, here it is. 30,
and it was just like, that was the divine time.
That was 75.
Nice.
And here we are today. And it's so every day that keeps going, yep, that was it. That definitely, you may not, and you don't think about it at the moment when it's happening, but you realize it later on. That,
whoa, what was going on there?
Yep.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And is Kathy still just so blissfully happy to have met her guy?
I think so.
Is she there?
No, she's in the living room.
I'm sure she is.
But she's listening.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and I feel like, when we're paying attention, it's funny because yesterday I knew Spirit was bringing this show to be discussed about synchronicity and the fun and the magic of the universe. And I went downstairs and I was like, I'm going to watch that movie, Serendipity. There's a fun movie called Serendipity. If you've never seen it, I encourage you to watch it. And so I'm watching it. And it just really, I used to watch it when I was not in a happy relationship. And I would watch it like, that would be amazing. And it's kind of sad to say, but I did. Mm-hmm. And I was like watching it in like a longing for that kind of true connection. And wishing and wondering, could that be possible for me still? Because, is it over for me? I don't know. And you kind of wonder when you're in stuff and it doesn't really feel good. And so that movie is a great one I recommend called Serendipity. And then what's another one that's really great? August Rush is another great movie where if you really watch that child's life, he's listening to the universe always. And it's such an inspiring film. And it's just like the universe the line in the movie is, the universe is always talking. Are you listening? And it really comes down to that. And I really encourage you to watch those two movies if you kind of want some fun visuals of what synchronicity is all about. But one thing in Serendipity that I loved is there was a line that said, you must be okay with allowing yourself to look foolish in order to truly live a free life, like to live a synchronistic life. We have to be okay with appearing foolish to others. And I could not agree more with that, because there's been so many that have at times judged me when I followed my own heart, and judged when I've gone in a direction that paid off in a huge way that was really for my highest good. And we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with being that weirdo lady talking about angels in a network group where everyone's just looking at you blankly because they don't know what the crap to say. And it's like, that's okay. They're just not ready yet, but you were still called there to speak. So I've had a lot of things happen where synchronistic, guidance to go and speak on things, but I've been taught not to be too concerned about what everyone thinks about me, and just give them time and give them the space to make their choices and to pay attention. Because a lot of times we might come into contact with someone of a high vibration that's bringing a lot of wisdom, but we don't know what to do with it yet. It's a little overwhelming. That's a lot of information, and so we got to give them time to process it. But I love that movie, and how there was so many times where they have to really listen to their hearts and have courage and go in directions that look scary, and like maybe they don't get anything because of that choice. And often that's when the best things will come to you, is when you really trust your heart and you really just know that no matter what, I'm going to keep trusting my heart, and whatever's for the best for me, it's coming. And so I'll share an example with the way I met Ron. First of all, Ron and I knew each other for years. We were both artists, and we met in like 2005 or 6, somewhere in there, when I first moved to the Northwest. And speaking of that, I'm going to show you. We are doing an art show. I don't know if you can see this very good, but it's a picture of Ron and I. We're doing an art show coming up on July 12th and 13th. It's for local people, but in case any locals are watching, it's going to be at English Estates Winery, and it's on July 12th, which is a Saturday, 11 to 7, and the 13th from 12 to 6. And what we put on our card, we both make a lot of art, but we took some of our art and we put it into prints and then framed them, and I put rhinestones, like little Swarovski crystals, and we make clocks. And so I was one day just like, this idea came to me, and it's about time, because they're clocks, but it really summarizes Ron and I. Like, we're together, we're having this art show together, we're starting to actually sell our art. We were with partners before, and our art did not seem to sell, and we were like, what's going on? And so we call it It's About Time. And what's fun with how I met Ron is we had met years ago in an art gallery, and we were just acquaintances. He was married, I was married, but we knew of each other, and we had been in meetings together at the art gallery and whatnot. And I was there for a little while, and then I left that gallery for reasons. And then a few years later, I run into Ron downtown Vancouver. He's doing this Art in the Heart, and I run into him. I'm with my husband at the time, and we're like, hey, what's up? And we're just chatting. And he encourages me to come back to the gallery because they started a new gallery. And so I was like, let me think about that. And so I decided to go back and give it another shot. And so him and I were connecting again, but as acquaintances. And in December of 2012, I left my marriage. And I remember so many signs. I mean, I'm writing a book actually about all of it. So I'll bring that. And if you all want to know that story, you can buy a book. But basically, when I made the decision to leave my marriage, and this was a very long process, like I did not make this decision lightly, and I've been asking for years, and I finally made the decision to leave, and I looked at the clock, and it was 11:11, right at that moment that I had decided it was time to go. And if you look up the angel number, if you want to learn more about angel numbers, go to your computer and Google spiritual meaning of 1111 or 555 or whatever number, and then read the Joanne Sacred Scribes website. It's just of a very high frequency. I really feel that the vibration of that site is more in alignment than some. And basically, I saw 1111, and it's all representative of independence, liberation, and following your soul mission. And I was just like, oh my God, like that is perfect. And so it really helped me seeing that number right then, even though it was a little scary because this was going to be a big process and I knew it in my gut. I knew I was preparing for a battle. I didn't want to, but you just kind of know it. And so I see that number and it just gave me that guidance and assurance from my angels that I was making the right choice and that I wasn't alone and that they were going to be with me